Season 2, episode 7.
7.
Whoa.
Damn.
That was on time. We're getting better.
It's episode 7. I hope we get better.
Welcome
to
the Energy and Heart podcast.
Hosted by Hey, got it right.
Jiggy
and Steph.
Da-da! We are so tired.
Wow. That was very truthful.
Delusional. It is. What is that meme that says like it's let's circle back on this next year?
Yeah, that's
really be feeling that.
yeah.
Would love to check in. Honestly, not just like life updates, but just check in with the heart. How are you?
Wow, that was really heartfelt. I'm tired. Yeah, I'm tired. How do I express this? Like, yeah, I'm just tired. I don't think there's any other way to say it. I just want this year to be done. Yeah.
For me, I think it's not that I want the year to be done, because for the year to be done means that it's already January and we have to go right back to work.
I'm just kidding.
I'm really ready to just rest. Like, I'm so ready. Hibernation nation. I'm so just not even like mentally exhausted. I think I'm just like spiritually as an entire existence. Like, I think existing is exhausting right now. Yeah, before I move on, did you have anything else to say about your check-in?
No. I
This is the words depressing episode.
The words are just not coming today.
Yeah.
I'm just tired.
Yeah. Well, Steph and I were talking in the car on the way here about how there's a lot of us grieving. And grieving can look differently in many ways. Like, everybody can be grieving experiences, grieving a loss of somebody, grieving as a collective, I think, is kind of like a theme right now. I just wanted to take time to acknowledge like the legacy and character and integrity and the joy of Twitch. And him passing away is the same sadness but also confusion that I felt when Robin Williams passed away. And I say that because I look up a lot to I did look up a lot to Robin Williams and then like Ellen and Twitch. And I remember just growing up as a kid, I was just depressed and suicidal, and I used to look up to those people as like, wow, they are just like showing up every day to bring a smile on people's faces. And I can't wait to get to that point of life and joy where I can do that for others too. And they were like the earlier inspiration for me to possibly want to be like an entertainer more so than a speaker. But the common theme is to do my best to make people's day. And so when Robin Williams passed away that he did, I was like really confused. How could it be that the person who's dedicated their lives to bringing joy into other people could have been hurting so bad that they end it all? And it made me sad, and like I was longing to understand their heart. And then the Twitch news shit like came out of nowhere, and it didn't make sense to me how he passed away. If anything, it could have been like an accident or car accident or something, but it wasn't. it was self-inflicted. And it's like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm just so freaking sorry that you didn't feel seen. Or maybe you did, but maybe it wasn't enough. Or maybe you did, but you needed something else or more, or there's something there's something you're seeking that you couldn't obtain on earth. These moments make it very real for me why I do what I do, but also makes me hugely realize like I really need to take care of myself too. And I wish that for everybody who's not even just career, but entire lives and purpose and calling are aligned with serving other people and helping other people. It is exhausting. It truly is. Like, even though it's a lot of joy, it's my honor to have the calling that I do in order to help other people. And that's my career and my calling. And it's my entire life. I'm dedicating my entire life to this. And so is Steph. Like, the businesses that we have is to help other people. But that doesn't mean that we need to put ourselves aside in order to help other people. And we know that, but it can become that very easily. And so while everybody can say, like, check up on your friends and check up on your happy friends and check up on the friends who always help other people, we also have to constantly remind ourselves to check in with ourselves too. And I'm just like going back to the whole hustle culture thing. This is why I've been talking about why self-care is so important, why compassion and self-compassion is so important. This is why I'm so tired of hustle culture saying some other shit. Now so many businesses are like, oh yeah, RIP Twitch, and like take care of one another and check in with one another. And I'm like, how dare you use this opportunity to all of a sudden talk about compassion and mental health when your entire message and business is around self-harm, self-sabotage? Like, how freaking dare you? You freaking hypocrite. Anyways, so yeah, and I think what was also really meaningful for me yesterday was at my jujitsu academy, our professor, like before class started, he stopped all of us before class started and kind of was like, everybody sit down and I have something to say. And he was like, there's this guy I knew and I knew his wife and he took his own life yesterday. And he was talking about, listen, we're a community, we're a family, and we need to check up on one another. And if you're not doing well, you can tell somebody, or you can tell me. I'll even give you my number. And if you notice if your training partner isn't here, you notice that they're not here for a while, or you see in somebody's eyes that they're not doing so well, like, let somebody know. He said, I would rather us know and do something than do nothing and miss a beat. And I've never been in an academy where anybody, especially the head professor, addresses mental health in front of everybody, especially in a class that's 98% men. And he almost broke down the entire speech. And for a 210-pound black belt man to say that to a group of other men, for me to witness, was a huge deal. I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong. And mental health will always be top tier priority. And I'm so willing to continue fighting for it. What are we gonna talk about today?
I'm just
Maybe we should take a collective deep breath.
yeah. I feel like I didn't let myself experience too much or take in too much yesterday. And comes back to why the podcast is very important to me on multiple levels, but I feel like it allows me to be present. And I think what's coming up right now is just like a lot of grief and heartbreak, because just hearing, I think from your side, you have like, you know, your personal experiences with like mental health and with grief and your own like challenges. I think for me, I sit on the other side as like that person who is holding space for a lot of what everyone is experiencing right now. And I think this goes back to what you're saying, where it's like, you know, we have to like check in with each other, and then also check in with ourselves. And like, I think I just felt like a defeatedness in all of it too, because I'm just like, oh my God, like, how are we, h- how do we as a whole move through this level of grief and so much? Because even for me as a person, like holding all of it, I'm just like, I don't I don't even know how to hold all of it for everyone too. And I think that's what's like the question that's coming is like, how do we even move through it? But yeah, I think that's like, hear how it's connected to your work. And I think for me, I think about how in RBTL, like that's what we're truly teaching people, is like, how do you truly listen to somebody, and how do you support them and show care for them, especially I think in times like this where there are difficult things like happening. How do you pick up on if a friend is struggling or not, because sometimes it's not as obvious, right? And so I think it's such a collective effort with all of us to be able to be there for each other. But I think that that's like truly the mission like behind RBTL. I think about how like for most of my life, that's the, I think I was put on this earth to hold space for other people. And I know it sounds very like simple, but I think that's truly what I was here for. Like, I feel like I personally have not experienced like the most tragic of tragedies necessarily, but I have held space for so many people who have had to experience so many tragedies. And it's like all everything all around me, like since I was really young. And so it just made me think like, what roles do we play in our lives for other people? And I think the role that I have always played has been that support role for people. And I think that's why a big part of RBTL is, how do you truly be there for somebody? How do you ask the questions? Like, how do you share your intent? How do you mirror back like what you're hearing? How do you help people feel like affirmed? Like all of those things, I think go such a long way. Like we don't know how far it goes for somebody, but I think it's such incredibly important skills. And so I think about how like what you do and what I do really like comes together like in so many ways, and works like, I don't know, like kind of like a yin and a yang, like it works together, you know. But like bringing awareness to like mental health is like one piece of it, right? And then also beyond awareness, like how can we start really getting into conversations, and then even for people who are struggling, how do we even start to express like what that feels like and how hurt we are, what we're experiencing? So I think it just is such a collective effort for all of us, to be able to support and care and love and hold each other, especially in very difficult times.
I want to read you guys something. But before I read it, I have some comments. I think that what I've always been frustrated by is the topic of mental health coming up every time something happens to a celebrity. And then the conversation lives for like a week, and then it's gone, and then it's like a cute topic until the next person dies. But the thing about mental health, I think the term Mental Health Awareness Week, Awareness Month, popping up here and there as an event, holding space for one another, gotta check in with each other. That's cute, but mental health has to be consistent. It's an everyday thing. It just cannot be once in a while thing. It's literally every day in almost every conversation. Like, even if you don't address a conversation, even if you don't go into a conversation saying, hey, this conversation is about mental health and it's going to incorporate mental health, the conversations that we have, the compassion that we show and the empathy that we show, or even a friend just going through a rough day and they're just wanting to have somebody listen, even all of that pertains to mental health. How we show up for community and community care, even that is automatically all mental health. Mental health is literally everywhere, and we have to show up for it every single time. It's consistent. It's not during Mental Health Awareness Week. It's not only when somebody dies. It's like literally always. And for me, how it incorporates the RBTL is like, RBTL, if you're new here, RBTL is relating between the lines, and it's a interpersonal communication program, but that's like so butchering it. But
Yeah.
and as a senior facilitator, what the experience of RBTL, and when we have practice conversations called immersion with our clients, it's not just a conversation. To me, it's also about how I experience RBTL is people learning how to hold space. But the thing about holding space is that each individual has their own preferred way of being held in the space. It's not one size fits all. How somebody can hold space for me is so different than how somebody can hold space for Steph. And it's also so then having the self-awareness and the emotional intelligence and the listening skills and the compassion and the empathy to be able to meet them where they're at. But then also it's about being able to express self. And that also goes back to self-awareness and emotional intelligence. And to be able to navigate what the needs are and to express it and to communicate it. But also, even when you don't communicate it, the other person might be able to notice and voice it for you. And especially when it comes to grieving, I've gone through RBTL at a time when my best friend got shot and the bullet was 3 inches away from her heart. I've gone through RBTL when my dad died and I was in Korea. I still went to RBTL. And these moments when I have no words to communicate, somehow, even the little bit that I was able to show up with and the space that everybody was able to hold for me helped me feel complete nonetheless. So even times when I didn't want to show up to RBTL, I did because I knew that there would be space for me. I can show up as I am. I don't have to be pretending to be at a happier state. I can just show up as myself. And I knew that there was just at least one community in my life that I can go to, show up as myself, and they would still be able to hold space for me. And I think that when people talk about check in on your friends or go seek help, yo, you think it's that simple, but it's not. When somebody's in like the darkest place in life possible, they don't want to talk to anybody. We don't want to ask for help. That's the last thing we want to do. Talking to other people, that's the last thing we want to do. Go seek help. Okay, but what if they don't know, like we don't know what help is? Call the crisis line. Okay, and then what? It's not enough. This is literally all hands on deck, community care, community effort. We all need each other. Fuck self-made. We literally all need each other. So anyways, our friend Carrie wrote something really dope yesterday. She's the founder of Asian Mental Health Project, and she wrote this letter to everybody. And I really liked one of the things she said. She said, crisis can be prevented, but that requires upholding strong support for one another at all times. Suicide prevention calls for accessible healthcare, destigmatizing mental health, breaking cycles of trauma, and nurturing community care. It can include hotlines and emergency support, but we cannot solely depend on crisis intervention in order to respond to this issue. I encourage people to check in on those around you. I encourage people to reach out for help and connection. I demand change. Oh, this is the part. This is it right here. I demand change from systems that undermine mental health care. My feelings for this are not up for debate. Woo! But when she says systems that undermine mental health care, dude, that's the one part no one talks about. Like checking in on your friends, like that's cute, but why is it only up to us? There are literally systems that are also breaking people. Jobs, and are we neglecting like the importance of financial wellness when it comes to mental health too? Like, but then hustle culture keeps saying like you gotta work hard no matter what, but like that cannot be all that. But then somebody's like, well, it doesn't matter how much fame you have or how much money that you have, you still could get. Exactly. If you have nothing, it'll impact your mental health. If you have everything, it'll still impact your mental health. Dude, we cannot escape this. We literally have to show up for one another and our mental health.
There's so much stigma, like the part that you read that Carrie said where we have to do our part in destigmatizing. Like I think for us, maybe we've sort of been exposed, had of our own experiences, have seen it for a very long time. I think about how like this conversation that we're been having it since I was in middle school, high school. Like this has been a constant. And I think for me, it's like from my personal experience, it's like destigmatizing has happened like over many, 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 many years. And over many, many conversations that I've happened to hold space for other people. So like I've been exposed to these conversations for a very long time, multiple times, like many times over the years. I think for some people, like you said, like it's hard to ask for help. Like how do you even start when you are struggling so hard? Like, and what if you don't have those support systems? Like how do you even begin to access that? And so I think like when we think about the challenges that we have in the mental health realm, it's like it's messy. And I think as human beings, like, you know, in this society and the culture that we have, like it's really hard to be messy. It's really hard to like show up and just be like, I don't fucking know what to do, you know? And I think that's very scary for a lot of people. And so I think, you know, we all play a part, I think, in doing it. And I see that in, you know, Carrie showing up like for Asian Mental Health Project. I see it in the way you speak out. I see it in the ways that like we teach at like RBTL. And I think the thing you said about like taking care of mental health being a very consistent thing, I think breaking down the systems, breaking down and destigmatizing mental health is also a very consistent like thing that we have to do for each other like every single day. And I think to comment on your experience as a facilitator in RBTL, I feel like because you choose courageously to show up as you are in RBTL as a facilitator, I truly believe that makes the biggest difference because it models what it looks like and gives other people in the room permission to show up as they are. And so I think that that's something that is so like, I don't want to say it's not like underappreciated, but just like sometimes we don't even know the impact that we have by choosing to like show up as you are. And so yeah, I I think appreciate you so much for sharing that, because I think that is also a form of like breaking down, destigmatizing like mental health as well. And that I think you have given a lot of people in our community the permission to like be more human, be more themselves, and better take care of themselves. And so, yeah, I just want to share that too.
Thanks. The most consistent testimonial or like feedback I get at the end of every cohort
Yeah.
when people tell me is like, I want to be like Jiggy. But it's like when they say I want to be like Jiggy, it just means that they want to be more themselves.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Mm.
everything I am today is everything I needed when I was a kid. So I'm just happy to like help people feel more liberated
Yeah.
in being who they are, to be more confident and empowered in their voices.
Mm-hmm.
Not to sound salesy about RBTL or anything, but like RBTL is not just a program that you take and you get a certificate and you get to wave it around on your LinkedIn. It's like truly an experience, and I think that the experience is what it is because of the facilitators.
Mm-hmm.
How unique we are, how uniquely we show up, how Steph strategically partners us up with the clients and their needs versus how each facilitator shows up. Like it's never been every facilitator has to be the same. It's always been, Claus Silver says culture addition. It's not culture fit. And it's about just like taking every individual superpower and then matching a client to that facilitator so that they're best supported and guided. Also,
Yeah.
I'll be just handing out motivational speeches. Like, and they're talking about like, wow, this is so worth the investment. I'm like, I cost so much to speak. You have no idea how
They don't
much
know.
this is worth your investment and more. You have no idea.
Yeah. It's
But yeah, happy to do it.
yeah. It's
Just gotta keep fighting the good fight.
we really do. I
But
think
stopping a hidden gem at the same time.
yeah. I think about how like our both of our works is so meaningful to people in the way that it really like changes, like transforms lives. And yeah, I think, and man, it all goes back to like, can you listen to people? Because even when you said like, oh yeah, like student gets matched with facilitator, all that really comes down to is like, did I listen to what they need so that I could pair them up with the right people? Like that's
What I'm
literally
hearing
all it
is
is. Yeah. And it's wild that like it really, like a lot of all of our challenges and hardships I think can be eased. It can't be all fixed. Like like there are definitely systems in place that disable us from being able to fully live like presently and um get by on a day-to-day like basis and thrive on a day-to-day basis. But I feel like when we are able to like listen to each other and show care and love for each other, that it does ease people's experience to some degree. So I think we can all do our part in doing that for each other.
anything else coming up for you? Um, well, then I'm gonna do a quick plug. New shirts coming out.
Yes.
The new release is the 5-year anniversary of Vulnerability is Dope.
Hell yeah.
What once upon a time started as just helping me have extra money to move across the country has now lived 5 years. And along the way, it's been worn by really random famous people, which I never expected. And the brand still lives on. So yeah, the new release will come out. Well, there's a pre-sale for my close friends. And then it'll go public. But yeah, the shirts alone throughout the years have liberated the people who wear them. There have been really cool moments. Like there was this girl who shaved her head while wearing the shirt to liberate herself. There's somebody who went on stage for the first time for their first slam poetry performance with the shirt on. And then also when other people see it, it impacts them too.
Did I tell you
What?
that somebody complimented me on the shirt? Did I tell you that? I literally was at a coffee shop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then she
But
was
it
like,
happens all the time.
yeah, and then she was like, "Do you know Brene Brown?" And I was like,
Do you know
"Did-"
Jiggy
I know. I was like,
No, I love Brene Brown.
yeah.
I wouldn't be here without her. Yeah, a lot of people like see the shirts in gyms. That's why this time I have shirts that have like words on the back, because when people are lifting, they usually also read the back.
Look at this experience designer. She knows
You
what
know what I'm
she's
saying?
doing.
Branding. But yeah,
Intention.
this collection means a lot to me, and it truly represents me and my message and my purpose. So yeah, join the movement and help spread the message. That's all I got.
Hell yeah. I'm excited. I want one.
One.
Multiple, all of them.
All right.
See
Feeling
y'all
complete?
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, I don't have anything left. I have nothing left
Yeah,
in me today.
me too.
All right.
See y'all next time.
Bye.